Hi everyone, I'm Peggy Rometo and this is the Weekly Wake Up. Okay guys, let's bring our focus in, pull all of our energy back. And if you don't know what that means, it's just focus, right? Just like bring your focus into the heart. Imagine, if you want, a color behind your hands to give yourself a place to focus. Sometimes when doing this work, it's helpful to close your eyes as it helps to bring all the energy in. It helps to bring your attention in so you're not distracted outward. Some people like to defocus. You may notice that sometimes I kind of like drift off. It's another way to focus and kind of feel in the body at the same time. So just kind of play around with it. But the idea is to bring the focus inward, and whatever you can do with the rest of your body that supports you in doing that is a-okay. So it's all about you being comfortable, you finding your own method. This is just one way to do it, one way to get in touch with your own interconnectedness, that part of yourself that always knows, whether you're aware of it or not, the part of yourself that's underneath the ego. It's always driving us, and then our ego kind of gets involved, which it needs to, right? Because we're living in the physical world, and we have to get that ego to get our butt out of bed and to create the dreams, because the soul is just kind of like, it's here to learn and understand and comprehend. But the ego is also very important because it is the driving force that maneuvers us. So, the large ego is bad, right? But we want to be able to create with that energy and notice that underneath it is that soul's consciousness. And that's what we're trying to get to today, is just be quiet, listen, and allow that information to kind of come tumbling out. And so as I take us into that space, I want you to just really notice your thoughts, your feelings, the sensations. And if there's something I say or a word that kind of like punctuates or sticks out at you, that's a sign. There's a message there. Go meditate on it or open it up. See what else is there for you. When I say open it up, I just mean put your focus on it and see what else comes in. Maybe a memory will pop in. Maybe an idea will come up. Maybe something that you've been dwelling on will appear again. You go, oh yeah, I forgot I'm supposed to do that, right? It's just an interesting process that when we stop, like all the thoughts can kind of fall away and everything can get caught up inside of us. So we really are putting our attention into the right things, right? So that's the whole point of doing this, is getting us in touch with our spirit and our ability to live that like-minded life, right? The one where we're mind, body, and spirit, we're in harmony, and we're living our best life, right? Being our best selves. Okay, so attention into the heart. Exhale that pressure or the excitement, whatever you want to call it. And then follow it down into the center of the earth. And then 3 breaths up and down, holding always at the top for a count of 3. And then exhaling each time, letting go even deeper. All right, let's go ahead and play along. Okay, so really interesting. What's starting out is do not rush to judgment this week. It's kind of like when somebody's telling you a story, whether it's a friend, a coworker, a client, something's happened, and you want to like, what? You want to like give that exasperation and how dare they, or what's going on. We're being asked not to rush to judgment. We're being asked to really listen and to kind of like stay in our lane. Okay, you know how we get in other people's lane? How'd you do that? Why'd you do that? What's wrong with you? That's getting in somebody else's lane, right? So kind of stay in our lane, relax, and let it unfold. Let the person tell the story. Don't jump down their throat. Don't, like, whether it's an excitement or whether it's an exasperation, we're just being asked to relax into whatever the story is. Do not rush to judgment. So we're starting this week with an opportunity for us that at some point this week, we're going to want to jump in and, just grab a situation. You're going to be asked to not to. If we don't, if we just sit back and we relax and we let it unfold, we're going to learn something, we're going to discover something new, and there's going to be another angle that wouldn't have been revealed if we jumped in too quickly. And maybe you've noticed that, I notice especially with my kids, right? If I jump in too soon, they stop telling me the story, right? But if I'm just with them and paying attention and nod or say, oh, or oh, interesting, or what else, right? They'll keep the story going and I learn a lot more. But if you're somebody's like, what the fuck, right? They're going to stop. You shut them down. So there's a situation this week that you're going to be around or that's going to unfold in front of you. And our tendency is to want to jump into the conversation, make assessments, inappropriate assessments is what I'm being told, that we're going to make a wrong opinion, judgment, assessment if we do that. So we're being asked this week in particular just to slow down, allow it to unfold, and be present to it. Now, when we're present to it, sometimes somebody just needs to talk and they'll figure it out. And just us holding space, which just means listening intently, right? Holding that space, listen intently to them, they may figure it out. Or it may be that once the story gets completely out, we're going to be able to see a completely different angle than if we would have jumped into the fire with them and went down that rabbit hole. So just be aware, this is a big piece this week. So relax, listen, do your best to observe, do your best to not have emotion about it. If you notice you have a lot of emotion building, like some of you right now could have a lot of emotion building around this. Like for some of you, I can feel anxiety. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going on? No. Nobody said it was a bad thing, right? It's only bad when we overreact or when we're the ones who are shutting the energy down, right? So that's where the overreaction is. It's within us. So all these exercises that I'm providing are for us so that we can have better relationships, so we can have greater insight, so we can be a better support to the people that we love and to ourselves. So when we're more relaxed and we're just allowing the energy to open and not make it mean anything, right? Don't add any meaning to the story or to their conversation about what just happened, who dumped who stole what, who said what to whom, right? Or, that stuff that we just want to buy into hook, line, and sinker. Or something happens in our household or something happens and we presume they stole that. Or we presume, oh, they lied to me. Or we presume they left me out, right? Intentionally. They intentionally didn't invite me, right? All that stuff that our mind just goes crazy over. And I'm sorry, women, we are the worst. Men, they'll done and out, right? They'll say it, they'll hash it out and be done. And women, we can really make each other suffer. So let's not go there. And the way we don't go there is we don't rush in. We let go. We let the story unfold. We allow the facts to be presented before we make decisions, before we come to an angle about it. All right. So big piece for all of us this week to practice is to be present, non-judgmental, and let the story breathe. Let the situation open up and stand in curiosity. Oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, I wonder if that's the whole story. Oh, I wonder what else they want to share with me. Oh, I wonder if more of this will unfold in the next day or two. As opposed to like, what the hell? Who do they think they are? I'm going to figure this out. I'm calling them right now. All that like righteous, judgmental, protection, rescue, all those things that get us going, that awaken that fire inside of us. Just breathe. And when it comes, let that emotion, whatever it is, fear, anxiety, nervousness, I can feel it in some of you now, just kind of like let it roll and let it roll down your body and out your feet. Or for some of you, it might be easier to let it roll up and out in the form of a breath. And for some of you, can even learn to soften it and let yourself melt into it. And when you melt into it, you don't kind of awaken everybody around you. You've been around people who are like, right? It's like, dude, calm down, right? So sometimes it's better if you can just just soften, melt, soften. Those are some of the words you can use inside of yourself, the energy inside of yourself to get to that place of neutral. Now, what happens, under these circumstances, when you're able to just stay present, let that initial reaction, whatever it is, fear, excitement, whatever, they're going to invite me. Oh, wow, I hope they ask me. I hope that, even excitement can create this tension, right? Which pulls us out of our neutral space where all the answers are, right? So then we start pulling in what the ego wants to hear. So even excitement, good things can pull us into I checked in. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's going to ask you out for sure, right? But we're listening to that big ego, that push, that wants and desires. When you stay present and just soften and let the body relax, and nobody else even knows it, now, as the conversation unfolds, you can feel the little nuances inside of yourself, or a picture may pop into your mind, or a phrase may show up, or a memory may come up. And sometimes the memories are just replications of what might happen, right? Oh, remember that time when you went to your aunt's house and XYZ happened, and then you ended up going to that amazing theater group. Remember that? And there may be a story unfolding, and that memory surfaces, and then 4 days later your best friend buys you theater tickets as a surprise, right? So sometimes your past can come into the future to kind of replicate a future event that's going to happen, right? Like a premonition. So when we're quiet like this, we can get information. So you're just being asked this week to play with this, and especially around any conversation or dialogue that kind of triggers us, and we want to jump in and we want to stop it. We want to have an opinion, or we want to control it, or we want to make sure we're included, or we make sure it goes our way. Just being asked to settle in and to relax until you're further guided. That first initial reaction, just relax. And then if a truth is revealed, okay, now it's time to say something, and this is how you say it. Or you know what? Don't say anything. Let it pass, let them come back to you, right? Or you may get a knowing. There's another piece to this. Don't make a big deal out of this, right? Don't hurt their feelings. Just wait. Give them a chance. There's something else going to happen, right? And 2 or 3 days go by, and then you find out the situation wasn't at all like you thought it was, and completely redeemed itself, right? But you could have made a huge mess out of it by accusing somebody of something that wasn't true. These are the kind of scenarios that I'm talking about that can be avoided this week by slowing down, relaxing or softening into the energy, and just being present, listening, holding space for that person to share whatever it is they want to share. Okay, so let's see what else is in store for us this week. So when we give that space to somebody else, right? When we hold that space for somebody else, it creates a space around us. It gives us room to do what we need to do, to activate what we need to activate, whether it's to work on a project, to spend time with a child, to spend time with a loved one, whether it's to run or forage ahead in a business idea, whether, to create a vacation, what time for ourselves, workout, even a shower, right? For some of you stay-at-home moms, right? When we create space for them, space is then reflected back and created for us. So this is a co-creation that we're in. So by giving that situation or that individual space, we get our own space, and there's a lot of room to create and generate what we want. So it's a really positive thing, and it's also going to allow us. Well, my mouth is watering, and so when my mouth waters, it's always a sign that this is something really juicy, really good, like it's an abundant thing. And I'm also feeling this grit wanting to come up. When we have grit, it's that perseverance, it's that part of ourselves that just go, go, go. We get it done. So there's an opportunity here for us to step into our grit this week and Grit doesn't, to me, mean it has to be hard. It just means it's discipline and it's focused. And there's a joy in that discipline and focus. You know, when have you ever gotten in the routine of getting up every morning like at 5:30 and, you know, getting to the gym and then getting home and getting done, right? It's like, yeah, like I'm taking on the world, or you're eating right, or you prepare all your food, you know, on a Sunday and you have it for the whole week. You know, those things that are those extra steps that we take to make our life more manageable and to kind of stay on track. And it takes grit, it takes perseverance, it takes focus to do that. This week we have a lot of energy for us to actually amplify that, okay? So let's see here if there's anything else in store for us this week. I know we do have a full moon coming. Actually, I think that's next week. Yeah, so we're good this week with the planets. There's opening. There's a lot of space here. We just came off a new moon last Friday for those of you guys that like to play with the new moon energy. So we're still in that new moon of creation and of implementing new ideas. So this is a really great time to set into motion things that you've wanted for yourself. There's more energy, sustainable energy, to help us to make sure that that manifests, okay? So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and think about what you want to create and start to implement it. Okay, so let's see what else is in store for us this week. Well, this is okay. So interesting word, tranquility. Not a word I've thought about in a while, but there is some tranquility, tranquil energy available for us this week. And when I think of that, I think of like, you know, laying in a bathtub, maybe a glass of wine, right? It's like it's time for yourself, right? It could be sitting out in nature. It could be just in meditation. It could be in a yoga class. It could be with just sitting with your lover. You know, it could be watching Netflix. You know, just like what takes care of you, right? Those tranquil moments. It could just be watching your children play, right? So take time this week to allow tranquility to find you. Like just let it find you. Like just stop in the moment and allow tranquility in. Let's do it right now. So just notice how that feels. Makes me want to giggle, makes me want to laugh, kind of comes in right into the heart, and it just rolls up the shoulders and up the face and up the neck, right? And at the same time, the bottom part of ourselves kind of goes down. So it's a really tranquility, hello, it's an uplifting energy, but it's at the same time, it's a very calm energy. So just, if you can feel that, great. Or if you know of things that put you in a tranquil mood, think of them now and just take that in. And then this week, just notice at different times there's going to be an opportunity for you to feel that tranquility. So I want you to play with that, practice this. Now you may be wondering, what does this have to do with the energy of the week? The more that we can slow down, the more that we can feel different energies, interact with them, the more control we're going to have over our own life, our own intuition. We're noticing the nuances, gives us more power in allowing us just to feel the feelings and not add any meaning about what we're feeling, but just be in the flow of life, because life has highs and life has lows, right? Sometimes, some days it just sucks, and other days it's like, the most amazing day ever, right? But we have to be able to be in the physical world and allow life to live through us. So part of the weekly wake up is waking us up to life and allowing ourselves to be present to life and let life love us, right? And allow ourselves to participate in a way that is, can you feel that energy coming in? It's like, so for those of you guys that don't feel, I want you just to imagine, feel the focus, almost like this energy, it starts to tickle like around the legs, around the knees, and kind of rolls up. So if you bring your attention down to your knees and to your legs and just notice if it feels a little lighter, or if it feels kind of like bubbly, like almost like champagne bubbles, right? That's feeling the energy. And the more that you start to listen and the more that you slow your mind down, the more you can start to feel these little nuances, not only here in the weekly wake up, but when you're out in the real world, and you'll start to discern, good energy, bad energy, move me towards this, move me away from this, right? And not that anything's ever bad, but we can contain that. Remember, back to the beginning when we talked about the experience of being kind of just neutral when something's going on, and not to jump in and not to get activated. And our mind may say, oh my God, this is bad. This is a terrible thing. Or how could they do this to me? Or how could they do that to my partner? Or whatever it is, right? So when we relax, we may notice that energy, but we don't have to become the energy. It can flow through us. We can observe it, but not get stuck in it. When we get stuck in it, we get riled up, and then have you ever had that day like you're fine, and then your spouse comes home and they're bitching, and now suddenly you're bitching, or you're the complainer, and now all of a sudden you've turned your entire environment into complaining, and then you go, ooh, ick, I did that, right? So we all are guilty of both sides of this play. So taking yourself into being more present and observing the energy is going to give you more access to your intuition. Because when you're quiet and you're in that observing role, now all the answers can come in, the additional insight, the additional understanding. So that's the value in slowing down, noticing the energy. And when we control ourselves around a situation that we're talking about this week, not falling into it, not making assumptions, not jumping in, but just holding space and listening, we've just in that moment gained access to our intuition. And in that moment, we can now be led through our intuition and not through the mind. All right, you guys? All right, play with it. Let me know how it goes. I'm curious about this. And the tranquility. Wow, I love that. So let me know if you could feel it. Let me know, pop back in a couple days and let me know if something happened and you're like, wow, this is that tranquility. It's here. I'm feeling it. I'm loving on it, right? So, all right, you guys, have an amazing week. Thank you so much for playing with me every week. And I hope you continue to share the weekly wake up and share the tips and use them for yourself and increase your sensitivity in the world. We need you to. We're an insensitive world. We're trying to turn it into a sensitive world, right? And when we're sensitive, we can make better choices. All right, you guys, lots of love. Thank you so much for viewing, watching, and sharing the weekly wake up. And I'll see you again next week.